Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new and improved Ringside Cinema. I am Mike, and today we're going to talk about the hot topic that is on everyone's mind, and that is Pat McAfee, Randy Orton, and how this includes TKO, Cody Rhodes shooting on TKO, Disco Inferno catching strays in the year 2026, and so much more. Ah, man, where do we begin here? You know, the WWE had such an easy story to tell between Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, going back 20 years. And for the last about couple weeks, they've been doing this teasing of who Randy Orton is talking on the phone with, and it seemed like it was going to be a big reveal, and maybe it was. Maybe it was going to be a big reveal, and we'll talk about how TKO and specifically Ari Emanuel is kind of sticking his nose into the creative of WWE in here in a bit. But it seemed like we were going to go for a big reveal, maybe Bob Orton, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's father. That made sense. They were in St. Louis for SmackDown. Maybe you had this guy, Kevin Owens. We know the history between Owens, Randy, Cody. It would have made sense for Kevin Owens, even though he's not cleared to wrestle, and hopefully he'll be cleared to wrestle at some point again. But in a talking role, I mean, okay, Randy doesn't need a manager, so to speak, but Kevin kind of being the one to tell Randy to go to that place, to listen to the voices, to bring out the old Randy Orton. I think that would have made a lot of sense. Because, again, let's remember, Randy Orton last year, before Kevin Owens got injured, he wanted to punt Kevin Owens and take his head off, right? So that was kind of the old Randy Orton. So Kevin Owens knows what that would be like. And Kevin Owens himself had to do things he didn't want to do. And we saw what happened with Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, one of the best feuds that Cody Rhodes had or has had as WWE champion. So it would have made a lot of sense for Kevin Owens to be the one to kind of be in Randy Orton's head, to tell him to do what he needs to do to get world title number 15. Now, other people speculated, and it's crazy to think, but people said maybe Vince McMahon. We saw Stephanie McMahon on Raw. She had that promo with Cody Rhodes, and Cody dropped the line of, Stephanie, with all due respect, you're nothing like your father. I mean, I don't know if they're testing the waters. I mean, at this point, you have to think are they really going to bring Vince back in on WWE TV in 2026? I mean, probably not with the latest allegations that just came out. But people were actually speculating that it could have been Vince. Hell, it could have been Shane McMahon. How that would have been better than Pat McAfee, who no no story, no nothing of like him being involved in Cody and Randy to begin with. He's not on commentary every week, so there's nothing for Pat McAfee to do on commentary to where he can hint that he may align with Randy Orton. So at the end of the day, this made zero sense. A lot of fans are frustrated, upset at this. And I think a lot of fans, too, are upset more so that we're getting more celebrities. But somebody made the WrestleMania poster with just celebrities on it. And I mean, with TKO and Ari Emanuel, why not, right? It seems like we're at that point where that might be a reality in the future. I mean, hell, we had little Yachty who accompanied Trick Williams to the ring on SmackDown. He was kind of his hype man, right? And I actually liked it. Like, I didn't mind it. It's a mid card feud. It's not messing with the main event. It's not messing with the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. You know, Little Yachty being the hype man for Trick Williams. I mean, does Trick Williams need a hype man? Not really. I mean, you could just pull Booker T from NXT and just have Booker T come down the ring with Trick Williams and with a live mic and do the Booker T mannerisms that he usually does for Trick Williams during the entrance if you want a hype man for him. But again, Trick Williams is his own hype man, right? But again, I still liked it. I thought the pairing worked great, you know, and I get it. Ticket sales are low. And let's go back to last year because this is where it all started. You know, you see the thumbnail. WWE learned nothing from Travis Scott, but I guess I should have made the thumbnail Ari Emanuel TKO did not learn from Travis Scott because holy moly. Last year, Travis Scott gets inserted into this whole into John Cena's heel turn at the Elimination Chamber. But even before that, The Rock himself has said Ari Emanuel called him to be at the Elimination Chamber in Toronto last year in order to boost ticket sales. Now, we've talked about the WrestleMania ticket sales here, and in my last video, I talked about it. I'll leave a link up here. You know, the multiple discounts that the WWE has run in order to try to sell these tickets for WrestleMania shows that there is a demand. There is a demand to see the WWE product. Fans want to go, and it's just, well, they're not willing to take a mortgage out, you know, or take a loan out on their home. I think that's what I meant to say. But they're not willing to pay these ridiculous prices that TKO is setting. And if you remember correctly, there was someone from TKO. It wasn't a, there was someone from TKO. It wasn't Ari Emanuel, but one of the executives came out, and when I guess he answered about the high ticket prices, and given all the allegations that are surrounding Vince McMahon and how he was outed of his own company and everything, for one of their executives to go, yeah, Vince was for the families, like what? Let's think about this here for a second. You know, my parents watch wrestling. I grew up, ended up watching wrestling myself. There's plenty of wrestling fans where they grew up watching wrestling. They pass it down to their children. Their children pass it down to their children. You get what I'm saying? You know, TKO right now is essentially pricing out a whole generation of fans in order to sell these high ticket prices. Now, or to sell these tickets at a ridiculous price. And again, you know, when they had the many discounts that they had, and you saw the ticket sales increase, you know, when these sales happened, just showed that the fans want to go to WrestleMania. They want to go to these shows, but the prices are too high. Now, now again, we go back to Area Manual here because we go back to John Cena's heel turn where WrestleMania, and I was there last year, and Travis Scott came out, but there was no Rock. They inserted Travis Scott into the WrestleMania main event. And this was supposed to be John Cena's big career milestone, breaking Ric Flair's record. And you have Travis Scott in the ring with him. His big heel turn had Travis Scott in the ring with them, or with him and Rock. Again, we ended up not having any follow up to any of that anyway, because The Rock didn't show up anymore, and we still haven't seen him since the Elimination Chamber last year. Travis Scott apparently backed out, I guess, once he figured out how much work has to go into preparing for a wrestling match. And, reports came out that WWE was trying to make it work with Travis Scott, but I guess they got to a point with him where they said, hey, look, Ari Emanuel, I know he's your buddy, he's your client, whatever. Like, we try to make it work, but dude, we got to move on. And I think that's how we ended up with that promo before SummerSlam last year, where Cena just completely turned babyface again before SummerSlam. So, again, it's like Ari Emanuel kind of sticking his friends in there, like trying to get forcing creative WWE to basically use his friends on TV. And one of the things that came out after the Pat McAfee stuff, because again, this was a whirlwind of news and craziness with the dirt sheets after the Pat McAfee reveal, because people were wondering like, oh, who made this call? Who? And people were immediately blaming Triple H. And again, I'm not sitting here not trying to blame Triple H or not blame him for anything, because again, Ari Emanuel, The Rock, was not at WrestleMania last year, so it was Triple H himself who booked Travis Scott to have that ridiculously long entrance. So I'm not sitting here going to say that Triple H doesn't have any blame in any of this, but if Ari Emanuel is kind of forcing his clients onto WWE and then onto the creative team and telling them, hey, you have to use them in some form, I mean, I mean, I mean, like, is it going to come out that it was supposed to have been Cowboy Bob Orton, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, maybe Triple H himself, given the Evolution connection with Randy Orton? But apparently Ari Emanuel was like, hey, we need to move WrestleMania tickets. We need a celebrity. And I mean, I get it. The first hour of WrestleMania on both nights is on ESPN, ESPN2 on free TV. I mean, like, I get it. They're trying to increase viewership, get people to buy seats. I mean, buy tickets. But again, are wrestling fans paying to see Pat McAfee aligned with Randy Orton? I mean, let's talk about that promo real quick here, because boy, oh boy, this was all over the place. Pat McAfee talking about the Attitude Era, 5'5" guys having 45-minute Iron Man matches. Randy Orton is going to save wrestling, and business is bad, and Cody's bad, and like, what? First off, WWE has been doing big business everywhere they go, right? Ever since WrestleMania 40, you could even go back to 2022, 2023, even before WrestleMania 40, in the build up where we had WrestleMania 39, the stuff with the bloodline, where the fans were coming to the arenas across the world, different countries and different states and cities, because of a wrestling storyline that hooked the fans, which was the bloodline storyline. And again, like, people called the bloodline storyline cinema. That's why I named my channel Ringside Cinema, but because people were calling the bloodline storyline cinema, so I just went with that basically. So the fans were already coming in record numbers. I mean, I can honestly tell you, living outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, I can honestly tell you, going to shows in Charlotte, Greensboro, before the pandemic, I mean, fans would leave the shows early. The arenas weren't really full. It was kind of like, again, we do remember how bad 2019 was for WWE. But again, ever since the Bloodline storyline, the arenas have been full. Cody Rhodes came back. They it's been absolutely just momentum after momentum. Like, they hooked the fans, and everything culminated at WrestleMania 40, in which was one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling. But all of that with no celebrities needed. Now, I know some people here are going to say, well, Little Yachty with Trick Williams, Jelly Roll, if you watch Stand and Deliver this past Saturday, then, you had Sexy Red on NXT Stand and Deliver as the host, and people are just tired of celebrities getting involved in their wrestling. So Little Yachty is catching strays, not for anything he did wrong, but just the timing of everything and the fans' fatigue with celebrities. And I bring up Jelly Roll too because people were like, well, oh, we don't like Jelly Roll either. Jelly Roll doing the stuff with Kit Wilson, The Miz. I mean, look, I found the poetry slam between Kit Wilson, Jelly Roll. I thought that was funny. I thought it was amusing. It was a good segment. I thought they had a good match. Now, that's perfect for Jelly Roll. I think put him in that spot with The Miz, Kit Wilson. Maybe you get Danhausen involved, whatever. But I know some people question, why was Jelly Roll involved in the whole Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes stuff. And you got to remember, Jelly Roll teamed with Randy Orton back at SummerSlam last year. So for Jelly Roll, it's kind of like this new version of Randy that he's never met. He knew good guy Randy Orton. But if Jelly Roll goes out there in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 and he gets involved in the match, that's kind of where I might have to draw the line and go, okay, that's too much. And I think that's where the fatigue is. And, when it starts coming out that Ari Emanuel is, Travis Scott was his client, he's Pat McAfee's agent. Like, he's essentially just putting his buddies into these big wrestling storylines they have no business being in. So it's kind of like Ari Emanuel is just sticking his nose in there where it don't belong. And I mean, there's now reports coming out that Cody and other superstars are frustrated. And look, I'm sure this is all going to be some big work, and it's going to be on the next season of WWE Unreal, right? Had WWE tried to correct this immediately because Cody Rhodes, and I'll show the tweet here. Cody Rhodes, about an hour after that segment, because this opened Friday Night SmackDown, by the way. After that segment, Cody Rhodes went on Twitter and apologized for that segment. Then we got an impromptu shoot promo from Cody Rhodes, which I guess was he was trying to, I guess, responding back to what Pat McAfee was saying. Which again, Pat McAfee was bringing all this stuff up that made no sense whatsoever. But Cody went out there and was like, hey, Pat McAfee being the guy, who that Randy Orton was talking to, was like Disco Inferno being the third man at Bash of the Beach 1996 instead of Hulk Hogan. I mean, look, Disco Inferno, third man right there, Bash of the Beach, 1996, looks kind of cool. Disco World Order running wild, brother, in 1996 WCW. But, again, just so completely random. Disco Inferno catching strays from Cody Rhodes. Cody basically destroying and mocking the whole storyline to begin with. And yeah, okay. Do you want to believe that it was unscripted? It wasn't planned? I mean, if you go off of Cody Rhodes' tweet where he apologized for the segment, maybe. But the fact that the WWE uploaded that promo to their YouTube channel says otherwise, right? So it does seem as if, once again, Cody Rhodes having his storyline for WrestleMania completely flipped upside down because Ari Emanuel, TKO, cannot accept the fact that wrestling fans refuse to pay these ridiculously high prices. Now, as I said, I'm going to WrestleMania, but I bought my tickets during one of the many discounts because I learned my lesson from last year when I bought it at the pre-sale to wait. So I don't want this video to go on too much longer. We've already talked about so much. I don't know where this is going to go. I'm sure later on today, Pat McAfee will probably explain more on his show on ESPN. We'll know more maybe on Raw, SmackDown this week. But again, where do you go with it, right? A former punter being the guy to tell Randy Orton to turn heel on Cody doesn't make a whole lot of sense. John Cena was trying to ruin wrestling last year. Now, Pat McAfee claims Randy Orton is going to save wrestling this year. So, I don't know. You want to make a storyline out of Cody Rhodes, the fans having Cody Rhodes fatigue and tired of seeing him as a champion. I'm fine. And you can do that, but you don't need Pat McAfee or any other celebrity to do that. It's clear, I think, when Cody beat Drew for the championship, that yeah, there's a little bit of fatigue, Cody Rhodes fatigue. The fans aren't ready to boo him yet, but there is a little bit of fatigue where they do want to see others hold that WWE championship. So again, you could have worked that storyline easily without Pat McAfee. And just like CM Punk told Roman Reigns, right message, wrong messenger. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this whole Pat McAfee, Randy Orton situation, TKO getting involved in the storylines? You know, is this going to be the road to WrestleMania every year, where Ari Emanuel TKO is just going to insert some random celebrity into the WrestleMania storylines to boost ticket sales? I mean, if that is the case, I kind of feel bad for Triple H and the creative team, because if they can't tell the stories they want to tell, because TKO wants to shoehorn some random celebrity like Travis Scott or Pat McAfee into the storyline, that makes, even if it makes no sense, then yeah, it's going to be a long road to WrestleMania every year if that's the case. Let me know in the comments below. I've been your host, Mike. This is the new and improved Ringside Cinema. I hope you like the new look. And go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, as I do produce weekly wrestling content right here on this channel. And as always, you've been watching Ringside Cinema.